Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming this morning to listen to me for a talk or ramble on for about 15 to 20 minutes on Sevilla FC. So I joined the club around 12 months ago. Previously was working at Manchester United and then Arsenal before in their sponsorship teams. As you can tell by my accent, I'm not from Spain, from the northwest of England originally, and I moved over to essentially help them grow their sponsorship, their partnership teams at the club, but also look at international development, which is going to be key for Sevilla and any other club who's trying to grow commercially, revenue-wise. International growth is key for the football club and many teams in La Liga. So that's kind of my remit. So I'm going to start with a bit of a video just to kind of give you a flavour of what Sevilla FC is all about. I hope.
La quiere bajar Sarabia. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! ¡Gol!
So yeah, that video gave you a nice flavour, I guess, of what the city's all about. And we had to throw a Game of Thrones reference in there because they do film Game of Thrones in Seville. So the club itself was founded in 1890. We're the oldest club in La Liga, second oldest in Spain. And we have a saying there that says owned by the fans. What we mean by that is the fact that majority of our board are Sevilla fans. We're consisted of 3 families, which in today's modern world is, kind of a miracle considering, the amount of foreign ownership that's in football. So we're quite proud of the fact that we're a family-run football club in a modern football world. So something that we're very proud of and something that we try and keep no matter what we do commercially, what we do as far as we try and grow. Keep that family feel around the football club is so key to the identity and the culture, around the club itself. The city, which I'm very lucky to live in, is kind of experiencing a tourism boom. Last year was voted #1 city to visit in the world by Lonely Planet. And you can see the fruitions of that. I mean, this year alone, tourism is I think it increased around 35% in the last 4 years. 10% of that is coming from Asia. And there's a lot of work being done by the Andalusian Tourism Board, the Sevilla Tourism Board, to try and grow and capitalize on all this increased tourism. The airport is being redeveloped. In the next 2 years, there's going to be 2 new terminals. We hosted the World Travel and Tourism Summit 2-3 weeks ago, which was headlined by Barack Obama. And one of the main discussions there was from airlines like Qatar Airways, Turkish Airlines, looking at having Seville as a new hub, which is great for the city because it means we'll be more connected to Asia and obviously the rest of the world as well. So obviously that is part of the city's growth, but as a football club, we're quite in good relationships with the tourism board because we understand the importance of helping Sevilla grow, helping the football club grow, and even if that helps mean Real Betis grow as well. As it says in the video, we've got stadium capacity of around 44,000. Season ticket holders is just under 40,000, which for me, coming from England, where, you know, away culture is a big thing. In Spain, it's not necessarily the same, but what it does mean is the atmospheres are incredible. And, you know, I'd recommend anyone who's a big football fan to come and experience a game at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan because it's incredible noise, it's incredible atmosphere, and we're very proud of the stadium. And I'll talk a bit more going forward of the work we're going to be doing to make sure we don't lose that kind of ambience and unique atmosphere that we have. At the squad, obviously, the focus with many football teams obviously is in the first men teams, but we've got a lot of teams that are under the Sevilla FC umbrella, as you can see on the picture there. We've got 26 squads in total, 21 classes male, majority of them youth, including obviously with the first team men's and the Sevilla B team. And then we have 5 women's teams. So again, you know, it's been a discussion I've heard over many conferences is the growth of women's football. And we're seeing that in La Liga as well. Atletico Madrid, record numbers at the Wanda this year. And we played the El Gran Derby women's game a few weeks ago with 25,000 people watching, which is unheard of in Spanish football. So it shows there's an appetite for the growth, and we, as a club, we need to support the women's teams to making sure they have all the support and to keep that, you know, momentum going as we move forward. And as far as the youth development, that's obviously key within the football club. We've had players such as Jesus Navas, who's on the video, who's club captain. Sergio Ramos famously came through our youth system, Alberto Moreno and Jose Antonio Reyes. So it's very key with Sevilla that we keep encouraging youth. It's how we sustain as a football club, developing youth players and giving them a chance. We've got a player at the minute at just 18 who's playing for the first team. So it shows that we give youth players a chance if they're good enough. On the pitch, as it showed in the video, we've had an incredible amount of success over the last 2 decades. Back in 2000, the club was actually relegated to the second division. And the following year after, we came back straight up with Capros, who's actually now back at the coach at the club. And since then, in the last 2 decades, we've had an incredible amount of success on the pitch. We've been playing in Europe for the last 16 years, 6 of them in the Champions League. And obviously, our main success, which we're known for, is our success in the Europa League, winning it 5 times in the space of 10 years. 2 in 06, 07, and then we won 3 back-to-back, 2013 to 2016. So incredible, really, to do that as any football club. And now it's, you know, our job to make sure we get that word out. But also, you know, we're keeping that kind of momentum going. Last year, for example, quarter-final of the Champions League. And this year, you know, our objective is to get back into that Champions League spot, but it's obviously very competitive in La Liga at the minute, which is great for the league and great for us in general. Last year, as it says on there, we were voted in the 17-18 club rankings 6, ranked among most valuable clubs in Europe, and we're seeing revenue growth, which again, I'll go on to now about building Sevilla of the future. It's important we kind of keep that momentum going as far as keep growing our revenue, especially on the international scale. And this is our staff base, around 400 of us now. Our revenue, we're around 220 million. This picture was taken recently because we're actually going to be moving the whole team to the training ground, which is quite strange for a lot of people who've been working at the club for 20 years and have never not worked at the stadium. But as I've said, and as the presentation headline says, we're trying to build Sevilla of the future. There's a lot of changes going on at the club off the pitch, which I'll go on to now. So everyone is going to be moving onto one roof based at the new training ground, which is going to be called eventually the Jesus Navas Stadium Sports City. So we're going to be aiming to invest around 15 to 20 million euros. It's happening at the minute. It's like a building site down there. And we're actually all going to be moving there. Everyone who works for the football club will be based there as of in 2 weeks. So it's all very new for the football club, but this is from the president down that we need to build for the future. We've got a 5-year plan. So it's important that we start with the foundations, and that's the youth development, making sure the players, women's, first team, everyone has the world's best facilities. So we spent a lot of time visiting training grounds around the world, Manchester City, a lot in the Premier League, to see, what do we need to do to make sure we have a sports city on the same level. We're moving as we speak, and eventually down at the training ground, we're going to have a 10,000-seater stadium, which will basically every team apart from the men's team will play their games down there. The stadium, obviously that is key as well, but as I said earlier on, we're very aware of the importance of the stadium in the community. We're very aware of how we don't want to move. We don't want to, build a brand new stadium. We just need to remodel and revamp, so to speak, the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan. So we've been investing the last 2 seasons already in the facilities, trying to expand bit by bit, and that's going to continue for the next 2 to 3 years. We want to increase the capacity, of course, but how we do that, we need to make sure we're not losing what makes the stadium so special. And on the last point there around hospitality areas, it's something that we lack. We don't have a huge hospitality area, and the hospitality area we do isn't, catered towards a modern football fan that you see across Europe. But we're going to be working on that because we're down to the final 2 to host the UEFA Europa League final in 2021. And with our history in the competition, with the tourism boom in the city, we're hoping we get that. But either way, what we're doing is revamping the stadium to make sure that we've got facilities to host a major European final in the future. So a lot of work being done off the pitch to make sure we get there. And that image is actually from the El Gran Derby a few weeks ago, and actually it was from the police, and it's the best image we could have of the stadium. And that was our mural that we had at the end of the ground. So yeah, that's what the El Gran Derby looks like from the sky. Our international marketing strategy is, everyone the last 2 days has been talking about how do we grow internationally and how do we do that. I'll talk a bit about what we're doing now, but really most of this on here is what we're planning to do, what we're in the process of doing. Website and social media channels in multi-language, that's an obvious, it's a given. What we're trying to do and make sure we do, we work with local agencies or experts, Mailman, for example, in Asia, making sure that we're producing content that is going to be localized at platforms, making sure we're getting content on a daily basis, and making sure we're kind of being aware of what's going on in the market. We're not experts. We haven't got the resource to have people stationed out in every country that's a key market. So we have to look at local agencies who can help us. We have to look at La Liga, who have got the La Liga Global Network, which for me, again, coming from the Premier League, was an eye-opener for me, and it's been a huge help because I haven't got a big team, and I need people on the ground who have the connections with the networks. And this last 2 days has been a great example of how La Liga have helped me meet the right people, meet the right agencies, and get the right conversations going for the football club. Regular in-market activations, again, going in there with small activations, but on a regular basis. And that's something we've done a lot in America at the minute, because that's been kind of our focus the last 12 months. But something in the future, we'll be looking at Asia and how we can develop that more as well. And then we launched the Sevilla World Fans, which essentially is our digital fan base. And that's how we need to identify our fan base going forward. As I said, when I was working at Arsenal or Manchester United, they had incredible CRM facilities. They had credible, big global fan bases. We need to get to that point. We're at the infancy stage now. We literally, as I said, launched this last year. But it's a great start, and the CRM team are working very hard to make sure that we're offering fans value, and that's how you're going to, attract any digital fan. How they're going to get? Why would you sign up to be a Sevilla World fan? We need to offer them value. We need to offer them money can't buy experiences. Most of these fans will probably never come to the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan. So how do we take the club to them with local events, local activations? And the idea, essentially, is to provide multiple touch points to our global fan base, so we can understand these fans, which again, any football club who knows what they're doing should be doing this as well. We want to segment our data. We understand as much as possible about our fan base, so then we can offer value both to our fans, but also to any sponsors, commercial partners that come on board in the future. Taking our Sevilla to fans global, the obvious one obviously is tour. 2 years ago we played in Japan, which is a very successful tour. Did we probably capitalize on it enough? Probably not. You know, we probably did what a lot of teams do, which is you take your team to tour and then you focus on another market because that's where you're going the year after. We're trying to change that strategy now. So this year, for example, we're going to Tanzania in May. We're going to the US in June to play 3 games, one of which we have only just officially announced, which is Liverpool and Boston. And then we're looking at games in the international break in October and November. And when I say we're changing our strategies, we're not just looking at, okay, we're going to play in Tanzania in May, but it's like, how are we going to keep that legacy going? How are we going to keep the momentum going in that market? So we're not just turning up for 3 days, disappear, and then you never hear from us again. So again, working with local agencies, working with local people on the ground to see how can we leave a lasting impression of the football club, the league, to make sure that the momentum keeps going. America, as I said, you know, it's been a key for us, and again, working closely with La Liga on that, as far as their international growth across the States. That'd be huge for us playing Liverpool, who are obviously very popular in the Boston area. So we want to make sure we're taking advantage of that, and we're playing against 2 local MLS teams during that period as well. And then the October, November, and January, and other breaks going forward, you know, we're looking at other opportunities. You're seeing it more and more in football now that not necessarily teams are going out for just the pre-season. You've seen teams play games in January now. You've seen teams play in the off-season. I think that's going to become more common in the future. Obviously, there's a fine balance, and we need to make sure we're catering and we're sticking to what's important, which is making sure the first team are delivering across the competitive competition. So it's something that we're keeping an eye on, but something we're a lot more open to now, and hopefully, you know, a lot more opportunities to take the team in an international scale will come in the future. In Asia, we do want to come back here, and we probably will in the next 2 years. The academy program is a way we can leave a lasting legacy. So we've got, as it says on the board here, Fukushima's already set up. And then the States, where again has been a focus of us big time in the last year or so, across Miami, California, Texas, New York, and New Jersey. So that is just about the club leaving a lasting legacy. Looking at ways we can integrate ourselves in the local community, really just make sure Sevilla is part of that. Now, there's a lot of work still to be done to make sure how do we really make sure that they're making an impact in the industry. You know, are we connected enough with the local schools? Are we really, giving opportunities for players in their area to come and play in Sevilla, to get an opportunity to trial? So, it's a work in progress, but we're working very hard on that to making sure we're doing it the right way. And we're looking at opening new academies, which will be part of wherever we play on tour. We want to leave either an academy or some kind of lasting legacy to make sure that the club's made an impact on the community itself. And obviously, growing our partnerships globally, which is my job, is to make sure whatever we do as a football club, obviously, we need to grow commercially. We need to bring revenue in. We do that by bringing on partners. And this year alone, we brought 7 new partners on board. And what we're trying to do is trying to bring on more collaborations, more international brands who can help us grow as well. Brands like Uber, Nike, Betfair have come on board this year and helped us. Not only have we offered, help them grow in their markets, they've helped us grow as well. And trying to do things slightly different. Uber, we did a fantastic campaign, which I'd recommend you checking out, which was with Real Betis, which anyone who knows Spanish football knows we're big rivals with Real Betis, and traditionally we probably wouldn't do many activations together. We're trying to change that mentality, and Uber came up with a fantastic concept, which is essentially around social and kind of change in society. And I don't want to spoil what it is, but I'd highly recommend going and watching it. And that's the kind of thing we're trying to do now, is come up with more co-branded collaborations and being a bit different in the market as well. And I'll end, just as my time's running up, on the El Gran Derby, which is a brand, but it's a huge derby in Spain. And again, if you're a football fan, make sure it's on your hit list to come and experience the El Gran Derby. It's a brand that the club created, working with La Liga and obviously Real Betis. And we're trying to grow it as an international brand going forward. This year, La Liga hosted many screenings across the US and South America. And in the past 4 seasons, the international TV audience has doubled, and I can imagine it's only going to keep going one way. So next season, the idea is to have more screenings, more engagement, bring more international people on board. La Liga brought a lot of international journalists, for example, this year to experience it. So we're trying to grow this as a brand. We're trying to show people that there's more than one derby in Spain. Obviously, the El Clasico is the El Clasico, but this is a derby to experience, and I'm going to end on a quick video, to show you what the El Gran Derby is all about. So yeah, if you're a football fan, please come and experience the El Gran Derby. Thank you for your time this morning. That's me done. Cheers.